The human body is remarkably efficient at keeping you alive, but its primary survival mechanism can actually ruin your health in the long run. Whenever you experience physical trauma, a severe infection, or go under the surgeon's knife, your biology hits the panic button. To stop bleeding and patch the damage quickly, the body rapidly deploys a dense protein mesh called scar tissue, or fibrosis. Built for speed, the fibers aggressively weave over soft tissues, cross-linking and hardening. Once it locks into place, it refuses to let go. We usually associate scars with visible external marks on the skin, like keloids, but the real structural danger happens beneath the surface, where the damage is completely invisible. Look at this diagram showing how these internal scars operate. When fibrosis forms around vital biological tubes, it creates strictures, rigid bands that squeeze the passage, choking off flow. In other areas, the tissue creates adhesions, literally gluing separate, independent organs together. Standard medicine often treats this mechanical problem with a mechanical solution, cutting the scar tissue out with a scalpel. The cruel irony here is that surgical trauma is exactly what triggers the body to build more scar tissue in the first place. To actually fix the problem, we need a way to break down these rigid webs from the inside out without triggering the body's emergency repair response. Addressing this internal rigidity involves a specific chemical source, the common mustard seed. When scientists extract the oil from these seeds, they isolate a highly specific chemical compound called rhodalin. In the field of homeopathy, this raw chemical undergoes a precise dilution process to create an active, targeted remedy known as Thiosinaminum 3X. Most conventional pain medicines try to numb the nerve endings around a stricture. Thiosinaminum operates entirely differently. It targets the physical structure of the fibrosis, chemically softening and dissolving the hardened proteins. It functions as a targeted solvent, allowing tissues previously fixed in a rigid state to regain their natural mobility. To understand how effective this solvent is, we can map its impact across the body, starting at the head. This 3D map shows how old scar tissue impacts sensory organs. In the eye, trauma leaves rigid patches on the cornea, creating a cloudy obstruction. Thiosinaminum targets these opacities. Over time, it melts away clustered proteins, restoring crisp sight. The exact same structural issue happens in the ear. Chronic inflammation leaves dense, fibrotic webs locked tightly behind the eardrum, preventing the small bones from vibrating properly. This hidden mechanical blockage is a primary driver of both chronic deafness and the relentless ringing known as tinnitus. By targeting the physical density of the scarring, the remedy addresses the mechanical barrier blocking the sense. Once that physical obstruction is cleared, the eye or ear can resume its normal transmission of light or sound. Moving down the body, we find the exact same principles at work in our primary transport systems, the esophagus and the urethra. Here, vital pathways are pinched tight by strictures. Losing elasticity to scar tissue makes passing food, liquids, and urine restricted and painful. By softening these hardened rings of fibrosis, the remedy restores elasticity, allowing the pathways to widen and function normally. Finally, the scan moves to the pelvic and reproductive organs, highly susceptible to dense tissue buildup. In men, scarring creates rigid fibrotic plaques, causing severe curvature, diagnosed as Peyronie's disease. Dissolving these plaques restores normal structural alignment. For women, the remedy applies the exact same solvent action to shrink severe uterine fibroids and melt away painful pelvic adhesions that bind organs together. From the inner ear to the pelvic floor, these varied clinical conditions share a single common denominator: the localized presence of rigid, fibrotic tissue. Thiosinaminum 3X works because it ignores the symptoms entirely. Instead, it systematically dismantles the strictures and webs, allowing the body to return to its original flexible blueprint. Those tightly wound cables of hardened protein are finally forced to let go. To achieve this specific cellular action, homeopathic doctors generally rely on a very specific clinical form: low-potency 3X or 6X titration tablets. The standard protocol involves placing 2 tablets on the tongue and allowing them to dissolve completely, repeating the process 3 times a day. Because this remedy actively alters physical tissue structures and breaks down strictures, you must consult a licensed homeopathic doctor before starting a protocol. They will ensure the solvent safely targets the scars holding you back, letting your body finally heal from its own healing process.